and stuff like that. In the question, in the interest of time, and that can be a future conversation, we are the group right now, and we've come to the meeting. And thank you if you're online as well. It's pointed out to me that, no, she's not online, okay.
Who?
LES, Ecology Center. Yeah, I don't think Christine.
Oh, I gave her the updated link.
Okay, I think she was on for a while, but
Oh, okay.
she didn't have a chance. Frank, could you just introduce what she does?
Do you want my mouth?
Sure.
So the Lower East Side Ecology Center has been operating out of East River Park since the 1990s. They have helped steward East River Park. They do environmental education, and there has been a compost yard in East River Park where they produce compost that is then shared out with both East River Park and other parks to help maintain the quality of the soil and help the plantings stay healthy. Since East River Park has been under construction, they've been working closely with other parks. I believe they're working with Pier 42 now. They've worked with Tompkins Square Park and other parks sort of more inland. But they will be getting a new compost yard and a new home in the new East River Park. And so they are planning to continue to provide composting services, ecological education, and park stewardship. And so they're very interested in this conversation and listening to how they can work together to support the needs and wants of the community.
I just want to add to that, because I'm a big fan of them and the work that they do, is they also support all across the Lower East Side park development, even in non-park places. Even if you're a private development or if you're, Gouverneur Hospital, for example, so they put a lot of resources into like really greening our entire neighborhood, and they've been doing it since 1977.
Are they housed in the pumping station on this river?
They were in the fireboat house.
Yeah.
Now that it's extremely likely that the fireboat house will be demolished.
That was what caught me.
Yeah, they will get a new headquarters. I believe it will be located in the
In
compost
the
yard.
compost yard
Yeah,
itself, it'll be a more robust facility that's what the direction is leaning like.
they're temporarily housed at Stewart Park right now. And as Frank said, they're serving other parks and other green spaces in the community while East River Park is under construction.
All right, in the interest of time, our pre-pizza conversation about the mission of this group was really something that we're going to really have to flesh out in great detail. I'd like to give everybody a homework assignment and ask that they send an email to the working group's email address, eastriverworkinggroup@gmail.com. And give us, what you consider to be the 5 issues or priorities or whatever you want to use the word of your particular area of expertise. That would be very helpful. And then I think we can take that and we can basically run our next meeting using all that information. I'll collate it and get it around to everybody.
Michael, can I suggest like safety, access, parks? Like, I don't know, is there a way to should we?
Absolutely, let's kick that out now. Let's talk about some topics to try and group.
It also might
subjects
help
together.
spark.
I think be very specific with those headings.
So let's talk about those headings.
Like safety,
Yeah.
the ballers, so when we're walking around in our neighborhoods, look at it with that sort of idea. Like, I know that outside of elementary school, they keep talking about up and down there because it's just a piece of metal. If someone hooks that turn on, the piece of metal is not gonna stop anybody, just so.
And let's be expansive from every perspective that we have around here. It's not only about the safety of the bollards and in intersections. You need to think through, what does safety mean in the context of what you're talking about? Does safety mean at your particular facility? Does it mean in the connections? Does it mean in transportation and how people get there and how that's related to the safety, right? There's all kinds of aspects you want to try and chunk out, because what we're also talking about is access, connectivity, which also could be wayfinding, right? How many people are lost and they're wandering through the NYCHA houses because there's not enough signs that say, to go here, here's your map.
No one can find the stairs to the Brooklyn Bridge. No one.
I would add, I mean, just to highlight access, but more specifically, I mean, I think it almost doesn't need to be said, but access for the existing residents of the waterfront.
Yep.
I understand that there has to be tension in, the economic arm of it. I know that, the city has its own agenda. But we can't have the design for access to be for tourists and people who are coming into the neighborhood. It has to be access, including, I mean, I'm still disappointed. I know you brought it up. I know Aix was working on it with you, but and other people on the beach.
Yep.
We're excited. A lot of us on this end here, at least, and I'm sure some of you all were very supportive of Plus Pool.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, we want to make sure that the investment in the waterfront is, and that's what I mean by access, is accessible for the people along the waterfront. And isn't just designed to, monetize for whoever comes into the neighborhood, from wherever else they might be.
Well, let's talk about access and connection maybe as a, right? Because what we're really looking for is connectivity. Plus Pools is a perfect example of what we were just talking about. We're super excited. We advocated for Plus Pools. We did not, we of course, when they came, advocated for it to be down further south of the Brooklyn Bridge, to be near the Brooklyn Bridge beach. But quite frankly, when CB3 advocated to have it there and it looked like it was going up a
Really?
little bit, we were thrilled. Only because we really think that we need a pool, right? We're one of the only neighborhoods without a public pool. So love the idea, but the question starts to become, it's a desert just north and south based on what the city has sent us, right? So how are people getting there? What services are gonna be there? Is there a public restroom somewhere near there? I mean, I don't, no offense, don't pee in my pool, but it's that kind of a conversation that a global organization that really looks at the connections, AKA what they have on the west side, and how people are gonna use the services and facilities. That's what we're looking at, right? That's what this should be, from my perspective, looking at those access and connections and the services, what's missing, right?
Transportation, frankly. I mean, anytime they talk about, creating new, like even trams, it's real estate. It's from Williamsburg to Long Island City. We're so disconnected on the waterfront of the Lower East Side. For some of us, like myself, Val, sorry to just mention your name, it's a mile to the nearest subway.
Yeah.
We have there's no connection. And, we hope that when they develop the MCR, that it actually becomes safe for pedestrians and bikers.
Yeah.
Because previously, and I don't know if Trevor's still on it, but I know he was arguing for a while, which was people were parking like on where pedestrians were supposed to be walking,
Oh, yeah.
never stopped. The only reason why they stop now is because it's closed off for construction.
Now the construction guys park there.
Yeah.
Well, no,
So we've got, hold on.
well, one of the biggest problems with the parking is the police department.
Oh.
Right,
Well,
and
we'll get there though. You
yeah,
can't
no,
argue-
but I'm just saying, and I just want to be clear, but the Plus Pool, just so you know, because it has been Smith Houses that has advocated from the beginning, and I actually have people laugh in my face like I was crazy.
Yeah.
We actually wanted it by the Brooklyn Bridge. I was told that because of the current,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
that it wouldn't be there.
same.
And God help anybody if I ever find out that it's any different than that.
The currents are bad there,
Oh, that's, okay, all right.
but that might not be the reason, you're right.
And honestly, we don't know what the currents will look like once they build the 250 feet out from the shoreline. Saying that it will have no effect.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
So, I mean, there's lots of conversations to understand and have. And look at Gansevoort. If anybody has ever not visited, I encourage you to go to the west side and go to Hudson River Park Trust and see what they did for Gansevoort. Is it a beach? No, not necessarily in the way that we wanted on the east side, but it is an amazingly gorgeous park with a soccer field, public restrooms, a dog run, an ecological area,
Mhm.
and a beachfront area that you can sit at.
Mhm.
It is spectacular.
Mhm.
They've also had kayaking for like 15 or 20 years further south.
Well,
Well-
we don't want kayaking.
No, I just mean there are ways in which they have access to their waterfront.
That's right. And we need to be able to, so the question, I guess, goes when we're talking, we've got safety, we've got access and connection. That is access and connection to the park and to the water. What does the community want to see for connection to the waterfront, right? We know that there is a large kayak group, but what other uses? Could we have feet in the water somewhere on the east side? And if so, how? Right? How else can the public connect? We were having a conversation over there by the pizza. How much space is there to put out a blanket? Not just ball fields, soccer fields, ferries, and pathways. Where can you picnic in a blanket? Where are the places to picnic? Where are the gardens?
All of that, can be contained in your emails to East River Working Group at gmail.com. And just as an aside, the Gansevoort Peninsula is actually land. It's not fill, it's not a platform. And it's actually 13th Avenue. So maybe we should be advocating for an avenue A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah? Avenue Extra.
Could there ever be crew on this side? Or is it like, bro, there's a lot of really good scholarships for kids who do that kind of stuff.
Put it in your email. Thank you.
But he knows the water. My question is it
those
too-
currents, I don't
is
know.
it too nasty?
Well, a crew would probably be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's going in my notes.
Safe flags falling in the water.
Can I just do a footnote?
Please.
Right now, what the EDC wants to do is put kayaking in place of our beach.
Yeah.
And I am telling everybody around this table, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. And I speak,
But do you know why?
I know it's about money, but to my statement that I said before about people, the trafficking, and on top of that, the trafficking that it's going to bring through my development, right? Because there's a bus stop right up at the corner. So people will feel like, oh, we're walking through public housing. It's okay when visitors come and they want to have a piece of sandwich, and I don't care. But on a day-to-day basis in the summer, that's what's going, that's the other piece of it, right? But we're entitled to having as much fresh air as possible. And I know people are tired of me hearing this. But this whole 9/11, I don't know if some of you know, I make it my business as president of Alfred Smith. You know that they've extended it to 2090 for people to register.
Yeah.
Right? May of this year, I had a 14-year-old who was 14 years old on 9/11. And then in May, at the age of 38, he died of 9/11 cancer.
Right.
It is now, for me, imperative that the residents in Smith are able to get to the waterfront, have some fresh air, sit on that damn beach, right? And be able to I don't want kayak. I don't care about the money. Because you know what? Because people cutting and saving money, it has cost the lives of the residents and family members of Alfred E. Smith. And also, not only, but in the community as a whole, because it was okay to cut.
Mhm.
And so this kayaking thing, I'm not even 100%, it's like 1,000.
So you know what? Put that in the list with
Oh, I
the
will.
email,
Okay.
because what we're talking about is what are their amenities? So we've got safety, access, connection.
We are very challenged for time right now. We have-
I'm going over the topics.
We have 15 minutes left.
Gotcha.
And just to remember the timeline also, some things are immediate, some things are short-term, midterm, long-term,
Mhm.
in terms of the issues that you want to bring up, please. Let me just ask, Aisha, why don't you start? What kind of an organization are we striving to have? How can we create a structure that the city and the state will not only listen to, but they could send us money and private funding as well.
Okay, so I would tell you that, you know, because I worked very closely with Victor's vision, right? And this was his vision, right? And I actually have the incorporation and all of that, and it's sitting in the Two Bridges office, was that we have resident associations, community-based organizations, and even businesses that work in this community. And everybody, and we would have groups of pockets, and then we would have a whole, and we would have a governance board that would, the governance would be elected by all the members of it. And so my vision is that we actually have all the residents, and I'm not talking only about public housing, but Section 8, the co-ops, that we all sit at the table, because at the end of the day, we're all breathing the same dirty air. That everybody, the CBOs, right? Every CBO brings something to the table in terms of servicing the community. And that includes even the, you know, the settlement houses, which, to also be part of it. And the representation on the governance board would it would be equal for each group to have somebody, so that there's always a voice and we meet. I guess the governance would be, we would see it as committees meeting, right? That we sit as committees and say, this is what we're gonna tackle because this is what we have to do moving forward. And
How do we ensure fair representation? Like, what does that look like? Is it, if there's a certain number of, public house people, is that a bigger vote? Is that a bigger share than all the individual, like the condos and the co-ops and all that? How do we assure that we're all being fairly like heard?
well,
And does each group get, yeah.
yes,
Okay.
because you know, because you know, may he rest in peace. Victor and I had a serious conversation because I was adamant that public housing have equal opportunity like everybody else. And so this is how many. The membership as a whole could be much bigger, but in terms of the governance, it would be everybody has this amount so that there's equal opportunity. So then when there is a vote, right, that has to be taken, it's equal, it's fair, right? And
Right, I think if you look around the room, we have about 35 people here.
Mhm.
The invites went out to about 55 people,
Mhm.
all right? Perhaps another word for governors would be an executive committee
Mhm.
to run a group like this.
Mhm.
The question I guess I'm looking to better understand is just the legal framework that we would work under. Will we work under just as a loose group of community volunteers, or do we want to make it more formal? Do we Victor created a community development corporation, a
Mhm.
CDC,
Mhm.
but that couldn't accept money from government, for example. That's the way I understand it. I think you had to be a local development corporation to really get the funding from government. Does any reps know any about that, Max or Dan?
I don't
So-
think that, I don't think that's true, but I can look into it.
I
Okay.
think that we need to take a look at all the opportunities.
Right, at all the opportunities. I think we need to be formalized in order for them to take us seriously.
Mhm.
Only because individually, we all, you know, well, I know my elected officials and they take me seriously because, you know. But I am incorporated. That's what I'm saying. I think individually, we all are. So I think that if we coming to the table and we're really serious and we're going to tell the mayor, the governor, this is how we see things in our community and how we want it, I think we have to be really formal.
So we should look at Red Hook and Brooklyn Bridge and
Exactly,
the Bronx.
exactly. They're all incorporated.
And better understand what their legal underpinnings are.
Exactly.
Okay, and we have somebody who's gonna be doing that.
Okay.
So that's the first part.
You know, I think the other side to this is, you know, somewhat like what we do with the information, you know, because it's like, I think in terms of what we do, I think that there should definitely be some way that you get the information out to other people, to other groups. Because I think otherwise, it's like you got a nice voice and let's keep it moving. Whereas I think when people know that you can get your voice out there in a way that people understand what it is that you're talking about, they consider it a little more. Because then if you get your voice out there and however you're getting your voice out there, you know that you send the best person that can present it so that people understand it. If I was to tell you the number of meetings I've been to on the Lower East Side, that when I said, after somebody finished, so what do you think? Oh, I didn't understand what they was talking about, but I'm gonna get me some chicken. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm just saying, I just think that that's important in terms of having a voice, is to be able to be a group that gets your message out and is known for getting your message out. Because I have to say, for me sitting here, once again, I don't see Lillian Wall or Jacob Reese sitting here, and that's half of,
They were invited.
okay, but I'm saying that's Delancey to, what is that? No, that's Houston.
But the key is to make sure that, for example, we have somebody taking minutes and they were invited, everybody who was invited will get minutes from what we discussed here today and follow-up steps. That's one of the really important things, because even if they're not in the room today, for whatever reason.
But I kind of think that, personally, I kind of think, a call would do better or something like that. A lot of times people get,
Help me set it
big
up
things
and
and it's
I'm
like, oh
happy to
yeah,
do
right,
that.
next.
Help me set that up, Val, and I'm happy to do
Okay,
that.
I'm just saying that I just think, in order to have a voice, it has to be where people believe that your message gets out and people understand what it is that you're saying.
I just wanted to raise kind of another side of this, which is what I'm interested. I pride myself, I have no notion for what ought to be. I totally defer to the community on that. I just think about maintaining and operating long-term, so that we have a sustainable thing and it doesn't get built and then it gets destroyed over the years. So to me, what I'm really interested in is funding or additional staff or any kind of people. Maybe they would work under this organization. Maybe it's funded through parks. But I think that there's economies of scale that can be achieved, where it doesn't have to be East River Park, Pier 42, et cetera. We can think about the whole waterfront, and it's probably cheaper to think of it in that way. And, while we have an increase in the amount of acreage that we're now have as a park, which is great, there was funding that went to that. There's no additional funding that went to the maintenance or staffing. So I think those are the things that I'm interested in. I think we have wonderful local groups right now, and we want to maintain like the Friends of Corlear's Hook, right? We want to maintain Lessig. I think whatever this structure is needs to incorporate the strong stuff that they're doing, and then also maintain a relationship with parks so that we can do our piece. But if we can get any extra chicken, money, whatever, that's what we want to take care of this.
One question for you, and then that was it. How many zeros are you looking at?
All of the zeros. I think, but to be more tangible, I mean, I can't speak to like how much money we exactly need, but I would say that in District 3, it's the only district that I know of in Manhattan where there's not like some other entity that's a conservancy or something of that nature that is providing staffing to help, like,
Hundreds of thousands, millions?
I think, yes. So I mean, in ideal world, it would be millions, but maybe my kind of dream would be that there's one person that is helping maintain the park that's funded through whatever this organization is. We have so much volunteerism that happens, which is a beautiful thing, but I hate that we have to rely on volunteerism in order to just get it to a base level. What I really want is to be able to, parks can get it to that base level and then we can elevate it through these organizations, through volunteerism, et cetera.
Exactly.
Okay, so our adventures with Gotham Park, what we realized is that the city is more open to capital costs. They are not as open to the long-term forever commitment of unknown operating and maintenance expenses as you're talking about. And so that should absolutely be the critical thing. I mean, I think that we are all politically savvy enough to be able to press really hard and advocate for our communities because we've been doing that for so long, for the capital commitment. But what's at risk, frankly, and we know this about public open space, right, is that it can go from awesome to dangerous in a heartbeat. And if it's not maintained, it gets treated like a garbage can, and that's what it becomes. And then that makes it a place that none of us feel safe or welcome in utilizing. And so what we must do is actually plan for that, exactly as you're saying. And maybe it becomes being a party bid or an open space bid that actually focuses on the maintenance, because we have so many, I mean, I'm part of so many different parking groups, and interestingly enough, we're actually a DOT plaza, not even a park. But what we realize is that when the Parks Department gets slashed, their budget gets slashed, then they don't have, they're too small, each group is too small to be able to have their own staffing team to take care of and fill in that void. And that is so critical, because you know what, like, shit, literal shit happens all the time. And so we have to put in, I guess, an insurance plan or another layer, exactly as you're referring to, above that, to make sure that even when the budget does get cut, that we are able to keep it at a minimum level of maintenance, welcomingness, security, plantedness that doesn't die. I mean, all of this stuff is so critical.
Well, one idea that I've heard is that, you know, all the economic activity on the East River waterfront that's being generated, maybe those revenues should stay in the East River.
Absolutely.
And maybe there's a way, because again, there's state property there, there's federal property there, and there's city property, hi Max, that we could work with EDC and Hello Diana to really ensure that whatever we're doing that takes the chunk of land gets a piece of the pie that they're collecting that goes back into funding.
Yeah.
Right? I understand, like, Friends funds themselves, and it's a full-time job and a labor of love. They should not disappear, but we should be able to augment what they do. Right? We shouldn't have to be, there can't be a founder syndrome to this organization. And what I mean by that from working in the nonprofit world is you get a great idea, you get people who get it together, and they work at it until it's all set up and it's rolling, and then it falls apart because there's either no funding, the founders have moved on, the generations beyond them don't really look at the same kind of thing that the parents do. So it has to be set up more, from my perspective, like some of the larger organizations, the Bronx River Alliance, the Hudson River Park Trust, where they get a source of funding that comes from government and local. So it stays consistent and moves forward and can grow with the city, right? You can't rely on any one donor. You can't rely on any one funding source, because any governmental one funding source will be dependent on who's elected. Right? And any one founder depends on their personal connections. So for me, I'm looking at an organization that provides both the levels that you're talking about, but when we talk about funding, we are able to get grants. They're able to apply for grants. They're able to apply for whether that's city, state, or federal, and that they can accept all forms of money to be able to fund, whether it's renewed resiliency for a small patch of a fix, or it's something that the Parks Department is able to do, but if you want it a little bit more robust, you have to add to the Parks Department budget. But we, as New Yorkers, can't add to the Parks Department budget and guarantee it's going there. But as an organization, you could partner with the parks to do that.
All right, so that's
Let me
gonna
just, I'm sorry, just one quick thing as a bucket item that we were talking about before this, is communication.
Yeah.
And I mean that holistically. And I think that's a real value that we should be thinking about too, because I didn't know that there was someone planning kayaking down by her. And I think the same thing about when you think about, well, who's not here? You know, what do they know? And I think it's always, to me, it always comes down to be communication. To me, a lot of times, especially between partners who don't know each other, it's about trust building. And I think what you said in the very beginning, Tammy, was like, we all want the same thing. Presumably, I think that's true, But I think the way you get there is you have to build a trust, and part of that is you share the information and you build the communication levels between people. And you offer that even for people who aren't attending, but are stakeholders. That's how you, at least for me, and that's how I find you can bridge the divides between people who have very different agendas sometimes. So anyway, I did want to point that part out too.
Thank you. I mean, right now, all we have is an email address. You know, we can probably bolster our social media, you know, relatively quickly. We can't engage a community engagement person at this moment in time. You know, this is the first meeting.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. I meant like as one of the buckets
Well,
beyond access.
My major point is that this has been a really good first meeting. I think that we all have things to think about. We all have a little bit of homework to do. How often do you want to meet? When should our next meeting be? In February?
We should once once a month.
I mean, I'm gonna only say for myself, maybe bi-monthly, but I could do once a month here, but I mean, I think we're all pretty busy and I just, you know, I'll play along to the
So
group.
how about we say March and May? Right? That gives
Yeah,
us
that
every other
sounds
month.
good, yeah.
March and May.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
And I mean, I think all of us can also start to do a bit more outreach to our local constituents and our local neighbors. In all transparency, we had a conversation with the Downtown Alliance because what we don't want is for our bids to look and say, oh, no, we don't want to support this. Whatever we do to enhance the waterfront enhances the bid life as well, because it just makes everybody better off. But I've yet to see somebody from the bids come to a community board meeting or talk to a NYCHA housing project and say, hey, we'd like to help with that. So what we want to do is be able to get the voice and have them come and be a part of the conversation, but not drive it, right? The drivers are those here.
Hey, Rosa?
we're outside of the bids of both Chinatown bid and for Downtown Alliance,
That's correct.
correct?
That's
That
correct.
is correct,
On
on purpose.
Seaport Entertainment Group?
That's not.
But
They're out.
No, I know, but they're obviously
They're
on the
not in, they're
waterfront.
not in the bid, but they're being invited to be on the board of Downtown Alliance.
And so.
Oh, no, sorry, I
Because
mean,
we're going
that's a
around
separate
that.
topic.
That'll be, it was an initial conversation that was had.
Yeah.
With them.
Yeah.
When Anton came over a year and a half ago. Because it also revolved around the new markets, like the opportunities to link going north and going south.
Yeah.
They need to get their governance and their stuff get up and going.
Yeah.
There's no point to drag them here yet.
Yeah.
They know. It's not like we're not doing it without talking to them. They knew.
I've had one informal conversation with them.
Yeah.
But they don't like me too much.
I had a warmer conversation with them. They like me better.
I like them less.
But it's like everybody else, everybody has,
The only one.
everybody at this table, and
Yeah.
including that group, has their own individual needs for what they want to do. They have a 99-year lease. They're
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the work
That's-
that we do to enhance the waterfront, provide connections and safety, does nothing but enhance people wanting to go to them too.
Yeah.
So
They are a stakeholder too.
they're a stakeholder.
There are a number of stakeholders we will
Yes.
continue to reach out to.
Yeah.
Are we thinking about the second Friday in March?
You tell me.
Isn't that what this is, the second Friday?
Yeah,
We'll have to check everybody's schedule.
Okay.
Probably, Maybe a little later in March.
Okay.
Okay, all right, I will circulate, to everybody. I've made a spreadsheet with everybody who we invited, so everybody will have each other's email addresses.
Yeah.
Feel free to talk amongst yourselves, get everybody involved in conversations, whatever way you want to do it.
Bring everybody into the tent.
Yeah, and
Because we need to get this done this year. So for timeline, for where we are, recognize, sorry for Andrew who's running, Andrea,
No worries.
this is an election year. It is critical that we get it done in this year.
right, and we want to be ahead of EDC. We don't want EDC to suddenly swoop in and say, this is what's going to happen. We want it from the ground up.
Sorry, just East River Park, you know, the next round of openings is gonna be this spring. We don't know exactly when, but maybe that timeline also impacts everything else.
Perfect.
Yep. And it's not that we want everything to be successful. But the questions will be with the eyes on the Parks Department, sorry, how much more could it have been when you get those sections open?
Okay, I try to run a pretty tight meeting,
Yeah.
1:35. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everybody's time.
Thanks.
Please, like another slice of pizza, please, please take one. And for everybody who's online, next time you're in the room, then you can have pizza too.